Hi, I'm Gary, and welcome to another episode of Physical Format Rock and Roll, where we talk about all things rock and roll and classic metal. Today is going to be a new album review. I'm finally getting around to this. It took me a while because first I had to get the album, and then I had to listen to it at least a couple times to kind of get a feel for it so I could do a decent review of it. And I am talking about Blue Oyster Cult. So this is a band that's been around for many years. So we've got some stuff to talk about here. Their new album is called The Symbol Remains. And I love that cover. I think that's really cool looking. I would totally like to get a t-shirt with that on it. I really wish that they were touring right now, and hopefully they would have that on there. I would definitely buy one of those. I think it's pretty cool. So this is the first studio album from Blue Oyster Cult that we have had since 2001. So it's been a long time. Their last album was The Curse of the Hidden Mirror. I don't know if you can see that with the glare there, which, that was a pretty good album. I can't say it was great, but it was pretty good. The album actually that they did like 3 years before that, I believe, from '98, Heaven Forbid. Now that's a great album. I love that one. So, with the fact that their last album, like I said, I liked it, but it wasn't like a classic album to me or anything. And the fact that also it's been so long since their last studio album, I kind of really didn't know what to expect with this album. I had high hopes, obviously. I like Blue Oyster Cult, and I was kind of hoping they had another good album in them. I mean, they just talked a couple years ago like they didn't know if they'd ever make another record. So, it's like, what kind of material did they have? This particular album it has Eric Bloom and Buck Dharma. Those are your mainstays from all 1,000 years that Blue Oyster Cult has been around. But Danny Miranda is still on bass. He's been in the band for quite a while now, and he was on the last album. The different members that are on the studio album now is Jules Rodino. I assume I'm pronouncing that right. I'm not sure. On drums. And then Richie Castellano, which if you have seen Blue Oyster Cult anytime in the past few years, you know that he is quite an important part of the band. He plays guitar and he sings. And if you don't know him, you will know him once you get this album, if you decide to get it, because he either writes or co-writes half of this album. 7 out of the 14 songs. There's 14 songs on this album, by the way, which actually, if you get it on vinyl, like I did, because there's so many songs, it ends up being, they have to put it on 2 records. So that's a little bit of a pain, but it's worth it. It sounds great. It's a nice sounding record. You know what? I didn't even pay attention here. I'm sorry. Normally I would tell you who produced it. And let's see. Okay, well, it's produced by the band. It's produced by the band themselves. Eric and Buck and Richie. They're the producers on it. So there you go. They do a good job of it. It sounds good. It's got a lot of good songs. So let's get into it. The first song is called That Was Me. I love this song. It is a great way to kick this album off. It has this great heavy riff to the song. Eric sings it, and it's just, you put down the needle and you hear that heavy guitar riff, and you're like, oh yeah, this is cool. And you're hoping, hey, let's hope that this is telling us things to come on this album. So That was really good. That even has a that particular song has a guest spot of Albert Bouchard, their former drummer, and done a lot of songwriting stuff. He actually guests on there playing some percussion. He plays cowbell on there. I don't know if they just did that for the joke of it or what. Next up, the second song is called Box in My Head, which you may have seen that one. They put a video out on YouTube. They've got a couple songs on YouTube that they put out from this album. I didn't really want to watch them too much because I didn't want to ruin it before I bought the album. But I know that they had that one out. And that song to me, that's a song by Buck. And it's okay. But it's nothing too special. It kind of reminds me of like some of the songs that are on here are just, okay. They're not bad. They're not great. That was that one. The next one is called Tainted Blood, which this is the first song where Richie sings lead on it. And I've got no problem. He's got a few songs that he sings on this album that he sings lead on. And even though it's not your main two guys that you're used to hearing, I think it adds to the band. For one thing, if you've seen Blue Oyster Cult live in the past few years, you know that, Eric's vocals are getting a little bit weaker playing it live, but these guys are not young guys anymore, and they still sound good, and they sound really good on the record. So, they've still got enough left in there to make a good record. And so having Richie sing is just an added bonus. I think he's got a different voice, and it just fits in fine. So it's a nice, Tainted Blood is a nice moody kind of Blue Oyster Cult song. It just fits right in. Next is Nightmare Epiphany, and that's pretty good. It's a Buck song. It's more up tempo. It's definitely better in my mind than Box in My Head. So it's kind of redeeming himself, because at first when that was the second song, it's kind of like, I'm not sure after having such a great heavy opening. Next up is Edge of the World, which Richie wrote this song, words and music. And of course, this is Blue Oyster Cult, so if you have followed Blue Oyster Cult, you know that a lot of times they've had other people write lyrics for them, like Sandy, who was their manager for years, wrote a lot of lyrics for Blue Oyster Cult. And they're kind of known for having different style lyrics. A lot of them have, kind of horror images to them at times, or science fiction, or something going on in there. A lot of times you're not 100% clear of what it is, type thing. I'm not going to get into a whole lot of the lyrics on this because, I know that there's a lot of stuff going on this album, but the fact that I've only listened to it a few times, I don't really want to dive into the lyrics too much. But that particular song is it's another really good song. I really like that song too. And it has the lyrics on that one do have like a X-Files kind of thing going on to them. So I really like it. John Shirley writes a lot of the lyrics on this album. So he's not in the band, but he does write a lot of lyrics. Let's see. Next up is The Machine, which Richie sings that song, lead again. That's a pretty good song. Let's see. Next up is a song by Buck. It's called Train True, Lenny's song. And I'm not sure what that's all about. I'm not sure the lyrics yet. But I will say, I really like this song. It's one of those kind of like fast boogie kind of songs. And a lot of times I don't like those kind of songs, but for some reason they add just enough, a little bit of buzzing guitar in there or something, and it's got this, nice upbeat tempo that I really like that song. I found myself really enjoying that one. The next one is Return of Saint Cecilia, which is it's a solid Blue Oyster Cult song that, you can definitely tell it's got that Blue Oyster Cult feel to it. And then we come up on its side 3 on this album, songs 9, 10, 11. And that's another pretty really strong side. It has the first song on that side. So we're on song number 9. It's called Stand and Fight. And it starts out with this really heavy bass line going on. And it kind of sounds like the Munsters theme, you know, doo, 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 that type of thing. Eric sings it. It is a real heavy song. I mean, even for Blue Oyster Cult standards, because, you know, Blue Oyster Cult's not necessarily always, they're not, you know, you wouldn't really call them heavy metal, but they always have some heavy songs. And this one, I mean, almost, it kind of had, you know, to be honest with you, excuse me, it has like a Metallica kind of sound to it a little bit, like a earlier, you know, not speed metal or anything, but it just kind of has that sound. So that's a really good one, you know, to start out that side. Next is a song called Florida Man, which that sounds like a ridiculously stupid title, but it's actually a pretty cool song. I like it. It is one of those, it's a song that Buck sings, and it's one of those mysterious kind of sounding songs. Lyrically, it reminds you of like Harvest Moon, off of this album, off the Heaven Forbid, which I really like. Honestly, that's one of my favorite Blue Oyster Cult songs. By the way, if you don't have Heaven Forbid, I recommend getting that. It's a pretty good album, and I'll probably be doing a overlooked gem on that one at some point. Okay, so you got Florida Man. That's a good Buck song, like I said. Next up is The Alchemist, and this is another really good rocking song. This is another one that is written by Richie, and let's see who, but Eric sings it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Eric sings that song. It's just Blue Oyster Cult perfection. I really don't know what else to say about that song. It's just, there's so many of these songs that they fit right in for what you would want out of a Blue Oyster Cult song, you know, kind of like a song that's like, yeah, that's them. You know, that's Blue Oyster Cult. That's the way that song is. You know, just another really good song. Up next, a lot of songs here, folks, right? Song number 12 is called Secret Road. And that's Buck sings that. It's kind of one of those smooth Buck Dharma songs that he does. The song itself is a little long. In my mind, it could have been edited down just a little. It does have some pretty cool guitar soloing at the end of the song, though. I will say that. I'd like that. Next one is There's a Crime, which is Eric singing that. That's just a good rocking song. It's nothing real special, but it just fits right in. It's a nice song to have on there, good rocking one. That also has some nice guitar soloing in that song. I really like that. And then finally, to end the album, they have a song called Fight, which, you know, I don't know. It's an okay song. It's another one of the songs. It's not bad or anything, but it's just nothing real special. I think with this album, I would not have chosen that song to end it. I would have picked one of these other stronger ones to end the album. That's just my opinion. It just seems like a downer compared to some of the other ones. But overall, wow, I was really impressed with this album. I recommend it. If you're a Blue Oyster Cult fan, go out and get this album. I know a lot of, you know, Blue Oyster Cult fans are of an age where they don't go out and get new music anymore. And that's a shame, folks. When some of these older bands that we, you know, grew up really liking and everything, if they're still making good music, you know, like I said, this is the first album in almost 20 years that these guys have made. So if they made the effort to go into the studio and make a kick-ass album like this, the least you can do is go buy it, man. Give it a chance. I myself would love to hear some of these songs thrown into their set. You know, take out some of the other ones that they do and put I'd love to hear some of these songs live. Gosh, I just hope that by the time we get back to doing concerts, because you know Blue Oyster Cult, man, they're a road band. They're a war horse. They are always out on the road. Matter of fact, that's what they always say, the tour that never ends, right? That's Blue Oyster Cult. And I just really hope that whenever we get back to doing concerts, that it's not too long to where they're like, well, you know, now that this album's been out for a while, nobody gives a shit about it, so we're not going to play it anymore. I really hope that's not the case. I really recommend people going out and getting this album. Give it a chance. Blue Oyster Cult, the symbol remains. Right now, I'm really digging this album, and I think you will too. So, I'm Gary, and this is Physical Format Rock and Roll. I'd appreciate any comments you'd like to leave, and if you would subscribe to this channel, that'd be fantastic. Until the next time, I'll see you.